Hi, Angele. Welcome, and thank you so much for having a chat with me today. So this is the fabulous Angele Cristina. I'm going to pass you over, and she can introduce herself and tell you all, well, who she is and what she does.
Oh, lovely. So basically, I don't like putting myself in a nutshell because I feel I don't fit ever. But if I have to say a few sentences, it would be I'm a positive person. I am a transformational coach, and
Okay.
I really love helping women realize their inner power and bring out their confidence to the world and share it and share their story and inspire others by just being themselves.
Fantastic. I love it. That's a nice, different intro as well.
Thank you.
Transformational coach. Love it. So tell us your story. Tell us about you and how you got to be here.
Okay, that's a very interesting journey, actually. I started by being a drama teacher for most of my life.
Yeah.
So I am a creative person, and I always did go after confidence, actually. But I used to do it with children at school and students, and I used to love seeing how they change and how they develop and how they become someone who they never thought they were able to become because they never believed in themselves or no one ever believed in them. And then they have this teacher, and I used to love it. And I used to love being that person who manages to show them the way and show them what's possible. And now it's exactly transferred, and I do this with adults, mostly with women, because we do forget along the way of living and working and doing our thing. We always forget ourselves.
Mhm.
But we are the superhero of the story because of our story. And my story usually makes people realize. So how I got here was really random, because this time last year I actually was completely lost. And I had just gotten married. And
Mhm.
after I got married, I was so happy and excited that for the first time I colored my hair turquoise, actually, which is my favorite color. There's a tiny bit left in the front. I don't know
Yeah.
how much you can see of it, but it was all that color but brighter. And I just went for it because I was so happy and so delighted, and I felt that, my hair should transfer the
Yeah.
happiness as well. So I sported that, and I had the most lovely honeymoon, with turquoise hair. Anyway, and I came back, and this is back in Ireland, but I'm from Malta, so I'm currently living in Ireland.
Okay.
And whatever I was doing at the time, which was drama teaching part-time, the employer had problems with me having colored hair, a particular colored hair.
Okay.
And to cut a very long story short, it was changing my hair color to keep the job or losing the job and
Uh-huh.
keeping my hair color. So there was this big dilemma. And today I look back at it and I say, did I want to change who I am for someone else, or did I want to stick to who I was? And even though that sounds like an existential question, it was literally being happy. It was making me so happy, this colored hair. It's like I discovered myself or something.
Yep.
But I didn't want to change it for anyone. And I really cried, actually. I said, why should someone not realize that it's making me happy? Anyway, cut a long story short again, I ended up crossing the most beautiful Kimra Luna, who at the
Yep.
time was sporting blue hair or
Yep.
bluish, or anyway, I know she changes them like me,
She
but
does.
she had colored hair. And I saw this woman online with colored hair making millions, inspiring people. And I was
Yeah.
like, I can do this. I can freaking do this. I am actually able to do something even if I have colored hair.
Yep.
It's like the possibility was right in front of me. And I said, you know what? I'm going to explore this online world and see where it takes me. And a year later, I'm sitting here. I actually interviewed Kimra Loon as well a month
Wow.
ago. So it was a lovely experience.
That's huge.
So, and for me, it was huge because obviously a year ago I saw her like an idol, there
Exactly.
unreachable. And then I actually wanted to share my experience with her because I was so thankful, of what she made me do, without her
Give
realizing it.
that big push.
Yeah, exactly. Just, thinking there's a possibility out there of, still having your hair color as much as and how you want it. So yeah, I interviewed her, and I am now a transformational coach. And from this journey, I want to make people realize that yes, there is a possible way if you want it and if you believe in it. And for me at the time, there was no other option besides going online, because I had looked for work here. I am not exactly a person who conforms, as you can see. But when I did conform, I felt I lost myself. So
Lost
literally the color
identity.
within me, like I became a gray blend person, and I
Mhm.
became unhappy and physically sick. So I couldn't do it anymore. And I discovered the online world, and now I just love it that I can communicate with anyone across the world from home, from my tiny little office studio here. And it just brings me so much joy, and I do change women, and yeah, I love it. I really, really, truly am passionate about this. So yeah,
I love that your hair was such a big factor. I know it's symbolic, obviously, of you being happy, but I just think that's amazing that you kind of went, yeah, I'm dyeing it, that's me, brings me happiness, and do you know what? Sod everyone else.
That's it.
What I'm doing.
And I think this was my leap of faith, because I could obviously have decided not to, and I'm sure I would not be sitting here speaking with you, because I would have gone back to who I was. And I like this quote saying, if you always do what you've always done, you always get what you've always got or gotten. And and that was exactly, the crossroad. I could have stayed as I was, and I decided to not. And I think that's the point, perhaps, where people, perhaps watching this, are either there, on the crossroad. Should I leave my full time? Should I stay there? Should I do this? Should I just, and I started as well listening to my intuition in the beginning days of those times as well. I tried to see what I want, who I want to be, not who people wanted me to be. So literally, as you well said it, sod it, I want to. And I think the color was literally a manifestation of things. It came across, and because it's so loud and proud now people see the hair, and then they see the story, and they're like, oh, okay. So now it's literally obvious in your face. And now obviously I've explored more colors, and I will continue exploring colors, because now it became fun.
Exactly. How did you, when you decided, right, that's it, I'm going to start an online business and I'm going to become a transformational coach, what were your first steps?
Okay, the biggest one?
Yeah.
Well, the first steps obviously were, watching people, and then you end up in their funnel and receiving and seeing their ads and stuff like this, which at the time I had no idea that this is happening because I'm following them. Now I know. But actually, the biggest part for me and the most challenging part for me was the investment. I invested in myself and got myself a coach. And that for me was ridiculous. It was expensive. It was completely out of my comfort zone. I wanted to throw up with, the knowledge of I'm going to spend so much money on myself, because I had never done it ever. Because when I was educated in Malta and having my degree in Malta, that was part of the education. It was for free. So I never paid to learn things, unless it was a random, conference here and there, but it was never 4 figures, so when I went, it was very uncomfortable. But that is one of the things now that I share with my audience and with my customers. The discomfort of investing in yourself changes the whole perspective of life and things in the coming future for you, because you start looking at things from a different way. So that for me was the major change, in investing in myself and starting to learn how to be a coach, because I had no idea.
Fantastic. So certainly the investment in you made you grow and kind of stand into those shoes, get going on your massive journey. You've done quite a lot in a year then, haven't you?
It's actually been much less than a year. The year has been the thinking process. I actually started with Wondrous Online Women, which in short is WOW. So it's WOW. So, and I was always a wow person, not because I am a wow, well, now I know I am, but I was always after wow, I'm a theater person. I love being on stage and singing, and acting and everything. So it's like, wow, for me is the thing to be. But now wow is what we are. And I really like it. And I have no idea how I coined this word, but I was looking for things, for logos and brands, and we take time sometimes. And then it just came to me. I saw Wonder Woman, and I was like, I like this wonder thing, because it's mysterious. And I was playing literally, with words, and then I coined Wondrous Online Women, and it spells wow. And I was like, that's it.
It fits.
And that, by the way, was May this year.
Wow.
So it's been less than 6 months, I think. I don't know. I'm not counting, but it's been less than 6 months. And it's been, I think it took off fast because of how much I wanted it.
Yes.
I wanted it so bad. It was not an option. So I didn't let myself, get distracted or choose something else. I just wanted it like it was my only bread and butter, which it is. Mm-hmm. But that was it. And I flew with it. And another decision point was if I'm going to replicate what I was taught or give it my touch, like bring up what I like to do or what I know how to do best. I had that option, and it was very, very tough because it was easier to replicate someone else's. What I learned, I could have reproduced.
Yes.
But it didn't excite me. I didn't feel creative. I felt bored. It didn't tickle anything. It didn't excite me. I was like, nope. So I completely took a tangent on things, and I left, and I said, I'm going to put this out there, and people came to me, and I love it. So that was another decision that I had to take, and I'm so glad I took it, because I think I would be already bored, and I would be crying, that I didn't invest.
Yes.
When you do invest, you do learn, but then there's another journey that you can take from learning. You can either just take it and be with it, or learn from it and take it somewhere else. And I like the authenticity of things. I like being different. I think we all are different. So I decided to take that journey, and because I am different now, people are resonating with me in a different way than they do with others, and they like it. So it looks like I'm bringing out something. Sorry?
I said your vibe attracts your tribe, and it's obviously working for you.
That's it. Yes, I like how you put it. The vibe attracts the tribe. We'll use that.
We'll go with that. How do you seem like so upbeat, obviously, and quite high vibe. How do you keep yourself motivated? Do you always like this, or do you get your down days and your days where, most of us do, have the odd day where we struggle?
Oh, I have my days off very often, about twice a week usually, where I need to cry my eyes out. But it was actually one of my fears. So I didn't think that crying was part of being a strong woman. And I also always looked at it as a weakness, until I finally realized that us humans feel all emotions, and it's okay to feel all of them, because they're all there. And I needed to embrace it. And when I started embracing that, if I have my quiet days, which is rare because I am a very talkative, bubbly person, but now they're happening more because you get into your inner space, or you don't want to talk to anyone, or you're thinking or whatever. So now I embrace it. So now it's okay to, just not do anything and just go for a walk in nature. But before I used to be like, oh no, I have to do this. I have to do my lives. I have to be out there. And even with the crying part, I thought it was a weakness, and now it's not my strength, but now it's different. You don't see people sharing, moments of them crying, but I did in a couple of lives, and people have found it refreshing, or they associate, because it's human. We all cry. We are all emotional, especially as women, and hormones and ups and downs and things. But it took me a very long time to get there, and now I'm okay with it. So I don't know how to keep motivated. Well, the thing is, I am a positive person by nature, so it comes easier to me. But how I pick myself up from those moments is I always look at my achievements. So for me, and I always say this to my students when they're not feeling good, list down something that you've achieved that for you was huge, even if it was the simplest of things. And for me currently is the results that my students, my customers are getting. They're just amazing. So I just watch their videos, or read their comments or some, and it makes me realize that, I'm doing something good here. And it pushes you back up. So for me, that's also motivation. But I always like doing something every day that makes me happy. And that is dancing, that is singing out loud in the house when there's no one around, that is doing something completely ridiculous or silly. I like doing fun things. I like going to the swings. I like nature, so I really get in touch with my inner child and just be completely silly, and it does motivate me. It makes me happy. But dancing, usually music and dancing is like the immediate thing. Put I don't know, 80s music, for example, and just start doing housework with, music and singing out loud, and it switches me back on. It works.
I think that's half the battle, isn't it? Knowing what works for you. So if that is getting outside and going for a walk, if that is listening to a certain playlist or whatever works for you personally, and I think that is half the battle, when you know what can pick you up immediately. It's having that kind of, that tool set sat there that you can go to rely on.
Exactly. And
you need it.
And when people don't have it and they have no idea where to go, that's the question I ask. What makes you happy? And some people have no idea. And I've had this as well with my students, and they say, I have no idea. And then and then after me, prodding and asking questions, they get there. And that's amazing, because some people, it's just, as you're saying, a run in the countryside, or for some people it's getting an extra hug from their kids, or it might be completely, random for you, but what works it's knowing what it is so that you can go to it when you need it.
Definitely.
So for me, it's perhaps approval from others. I don't know, but it's literally kind of someone tapping me on the back saying, you're doing a good job. That's what works for me, because that's what I need, perhaps. And perhaps that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. So whatever works for you, it's good to know it.
Indeed.
And if you don't know it, ask yourself what makes you happy. There is something that you do or that you haven't been doing or that you disregarded that makes you happy. Whatever it is, bring it back and try to do a bit of it every day, even if it is, in my case, it's dancing or music, even if it is one particular track, or listening to it when you're getting from A to B, you know, anything. Try to do it regularly so that you're always vibed and your energy goes up. So,
fantastic. So what if you had one or two pieces of advice you would give to someone just starting off, or who maybe is already in business but struggling, and at that crossroads, they don't know whether to continue, what kind of awesome piece of advice can you give to them to stick at it and keep going?
Make sure you're enjoying it, because if you are not enjoying it, it's not going to last. So whatever you are learning, or whatever at the moment, wherever you are, pick something that you are passionate about, that you can talk about it or read about it or share about it forever, because it's such a strong thing for you and it makes you happy. So there needs to be passion, or else no. So for me, obviously, I like, you know, speaking about confidence and facing your fear. So there's this passion in me and I really enjoy it. So make sure you are passionate. And then the second piece of advice would be, don't try to be like someone else, because you are not. You are unique and you are special, and you need to celebrate that. So even if you are inspired by someone, you are inspired because in that someone, you are seeing something that you have inside of you. Try to find that and then celebrate that. Whatever it is, if it comes out in your hair or in your blog or in your words or in your lives, whatever it is, celebrate that and be unique in your little media of how you connect or your style. Whatever it is, for me, perhaps it's the hair that is completely different, but I'm sure then the message coming from a person with colored hair will be like, oh, wait, what? I didn't expect that. So celebrate who you are, because you are unique because of your story. And take your take on things. Don't try to follow anyone blindly because you feel you should, because when I felt I should, I got bored. And I don't think people get bored as quickly as I do. or maybe they do, but I get bored very quickly. But if you feel any type of constraint in what you're learning, pick something from what you're learning that either you would do differently or that you like. And, you know, and because of those results, you can create your own thing, and don't be scared of doing your own thing, because for people out there, they will find it refreshing. So don't be scared to be different.
And there's so much noise out there, isn't there? And there's so many of the same words being thrown around constantly, and people think they have to conform. People think they have to do everything the same method and systems that everyone else is doing, like you said. But I think it's probably the number one piece of advice is to be you.
Yes, and I think
go wrong.
Throwing it out there is difficult, and I think then it boils to self-love, which is I'm not going to go there because it's such a deep topic, but it is loving yourself enough to just not care anymore and switch on the live button with makeup, without makeup, feeling tired, feeling excited, feeling sad. It's loving yourself who you are, and if you're thin or round and whatever, you know, it does boil to self-love, and it's very difficult. Because you don't need approval then from someone else, even though I just said it. Because I love myself as I am. So putting myself out there, I'm not afraid to be judged. I'm not afraid to not inspire. I just share it because I want to share, because it makes me happy. And it's my passion to help others. And that's all it is. You don't need to follow anything. But it's hard. It's hard to get there. And even though it's just a simple word of self-love, it's a deep one. So yeah, that's what it boils down to. And then self-love, it's confidence. You know, that's the next step. So being confident about it, loving yourself so much that I'm good. And if someone doesn't like my hair, oh, well, it's okay. You know, next.
Exactly. They're not your people.
Exactly.
And that's it, isn't it?
And I'm not there to be liked by everyone.
No.
But I did think of that a number of years ago, especially when I was presenting my TV program. I said, oh my God, you know, people are hating this, or people don't like me, or people criticize me. Well, they do anyway. And nowadays I cross the road, you know, I jump on a bus and people either look at me and say, oh my God, that hair, or else give me the So I'm not going to be liked by anyone anyway. But there was a phase where I thought I should.
Yeah.
And I was trying to conform. But then it goes crazy because you can't please everyone.
No.
And as long as now I am happy, and when I walk in the street, I own it because I really like my hair, and no matter what you say, it's not going to convince me to go back to my natural hair color ever, most probably.
Good.
So that's it. I own it. I love it. So celebrate that. I really encourage you to celebrate your uniqueness. It's amazing because we are unique for a purpose, and your story is different to mine. So it will always be original and authentic.
Definitely. Love it.
Simpler than we think, it's ready for us. Our life experience has taught us things, and you have experienced things how they came to you different to me.
Indeed.
So me listening to you is inspiring, and you're listening to me without even trying to be inspiring.
Definitely. So obviously going live is a big part of what you do.
Yes.
How often do you go live?
I try to go live about 3 times a week. So my aim is Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays. Obviously, there are days where I go live on Tuesdays and Thursdays, but around 3 times a week. I don't keep it regimental because I'm very like you. I'm a spontaneous person. And if I am somewhere or I'm walking to the supermarket and I get an idea, I switch it on and just share.
Do it.
And I don't do it because I should. I do it because I want to.
Okay.
So sometimes I go live once or nothing. I mean, if I am abroad, I don't feel I want to, I have to, or I don't pre-record it and make sure it's there. I'm not that kind of person at all. And I do my lives because I feel that who I am is transferred easier on video. If I have to share a post, the post has a kind of vibration which does not vibrate at the high energy that I vibrate as a person. And live for me is much easier to not convince, but to make people realize how excited I am about things.
Just to jump on.
That's it. They feel me more on live video, and I feel comfortable, and I love it because it's immediate. So I get the instant gratification that I was talking about before. So it works for me. And also I now know how awesome people find things, and the online visibility that gets created with Facebook Lives have made our lives so much easier, because then people get notifications and they know I'm there, and then they come in and watch me or watch a replay. So it's literally like, gold for me. It does.
It builds that relationship so much quicker and easier, I think, than any written posts. And that know, like, and trust factor is so much quicker, like you said.
That's it, exactly. Because if someone's is going to watch me and say, what the hell is she on about? Unsubscribe or not like or whatever, perfect. Because then I only have the people who not like me, but who would be my ideal customer in my group anyway, not the other way around. A post could be not misleading, but generic. And then you still need to go through them and see who you resonate with. With lives, it's just literally, they click. I mean, I could have obviously an argument or a different opinion with someone who's following, but usually they follow you because they like what you are after, which means they are your ideal customer. They fell into the funnel without you trying to do anything, astronomically expensive or out of, that's for me at least.
Yes.
It works for me. I love it, and it's easy for me. The only difficult part is the commitment. But I try my best to do it as regular as I can. And if I can't, I usually say, listen, I can't. And, or I share different posts, or I'm not there. I play that part quite spontaneous.
Okay.
But at the back of my head, I try to aim for 3 a week-ish.
Okay. So you mentioned that for content for your Facebook or your social media in general, that you find, it just comes to you, and you talk about topics that you're passionate about, like being confident. I know probably the number one issue for a lot of women, if you get past the confidence of actually just pressing go live, is probably thinking of content. And a lot of people really struggle and say, I don't know what to talk about. And for some, it is just procrastination and just stopping them from actually pressing the button, but for others it is a genuine kind of issue that they feel they haven't got the content or they can't think of what to talk about. So have you got any tips to give anybody that's struggling with the content side of it?
I think we really put so much pressure onto ourselves with trying to think of what can inspire others. And I'm going to bring an example for you, and I'm loving saying this because I've mentioned it in other lives as well. I was actually twice it happened now. So one of my worst days recently, the past month or so, I really didn't feel like going live at all. And I said, you know what? We always say, at least show up, be there.
Yep.
So I decided to go to the swings. It's just around the corner. And I said, what am I going to do? I don't feel like talking. I'm not in the mood at all. So I said, fine, I'm going to go to my place. And I think I called the post, I don't know, like where I find myself or something like that. I can't remember, but it was very vague. So it wasn't like, listen, this is what I'm going to talk about. And I just put my phone on the swing, across the swing where I sat. And I pressed the live button and I sat on the swing and I swung. And I went back and switched it off. And within 15 minutes, someone shared my post. And I was like, what the freak just happened here? And I was so curious. I contacted the person and she's like, that was so inspiring. And I really did not do that to inspire. I didn't even realize. And she's like, when I watched that, I felt I really need to, I need to be in touch with my inner child again, because I really like swings and it's a sense of freedom.
So it resonated straight away with her.
You never know who you might reach out there. And I said, wow.
Yeah.
So now I do a bit more of these kind of nature things without talking, because I think sometimes I talk a bit too much. So I do sometimes, the silent ones. And I also recently did another one. I was in a public place, so I couldn't, I could, but I didn't want to go live and just talk loud or something. But there was this really cute little Christmas village next to me. So I just filmed. It was the cutest thing ever, with little animals and they're full of snow and really cute.
Oh.
So I just filmed it. I went live and I filmed it slowly. And there was this woman and she said, I just showed this video to my 2 boys and they're autistic and they loved it. Thank you so much.
Oh, that's nice.
So you really never know. And I started with this because we put so much pressure, going back to what you asked, on trying to be inspiring, where I just shared the moment there and then. And I think it comes down to loving yourself again and knowing how worthwhile you are, how, like the brand, you're worth it, but it's true. Mm-hmm. So instead of trying to hassle and stress, be more yourself. Yep. If you feel that you don't want to go live, don't. And if you think of the content, speak about what you are passionate about. And if you are passionate about food, speak about that. If you are passionate about horses, speak about horses. If you're passionate about mindset and fear or law of attraction, speak about that. Whatever it is, if you're passionate, you are never going to run out of words. And honestly, I know perhaps I say it because it doesn't work for me, but people who say they have teleprompters or sticky notes on the side, that's limiting yourself. Don't go there, because then you end up doing stuff like this and it looks weirder, and then you will look back at your video and say, what's wrong with me? You will criticize yourself. Just, if you feel that you can't go live yet, just practice this on video. Switch on your video on your camera and practice like that. It's slightly different because then the 3, 2, 1, I'm going live might be daunting for some. Yep. Instead I go 3, 2, 1, or 3, 2. So you really need to change things on how you look at yourself when you do go live, and don't criticize yourself. Just be naturally who you are with your best friend. Imagine that little dot is your bestie and you're just telling her that you were at the supermarket today and you heard someone in the line and that was so inspiring and you just shared it with your tribe. That's it. You do not need to reinvent the wheel. You do not need to put pressure on yourself to try to be inspiring. Just share your experience, and we are humans anyway, so someone is going to like it and someone is not going to like it. It's fine. And then there's the replay, so don't stress on what time of the day you share the live, because there might be people on that particular day who are off or unwell and they're at home, or they might well be at work, or they might be in a different time zone, so that's too much pressure. So, but for content, share your passion. What you are passionate about, you will never run out of words from. Definitely.
Fantastic. Love your tips. It's been fantastic. I've loved speaking to you today.
Oh, same here.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. I was just downloading, and I really hope that something resonated out there, because I was not trying to do or be anyone, but it's just literally I'm, taking it out. What I think I'm producing and downloading.
You can see that as well, which is good. You can see you're just very real. You are, you are what you are, and that's that. Like it or lump it.
That's it. And I always say that I'm like the best friend who should tell you that you have like a green thing in your tooth. That's who I am. I am that person who...
Everybody needs one of those people.
Yeah. So I will push you because I will feel that you really can do it. So there are people who I wouldn't resonate with. But if I really feel that there's someone in there who needs to get out, and you've been suppressing it for whatever your story is, I will dig and dig. And it's happening with my customers. The things that they're achieving are amazing just because I've been digging and annoying them and pushing and plugging. But now they're thankful.
Yes.
But a month ago, they would have never realized that they are able to do this. So I do push.
And that's amazing.
But yeah, you need that person. You really do. And it's also okay to go for someone to hold your hand. That is okay as well. You don't need to do it alone. That's another thing that I had to learn. I needed help, and it was difficult for me to seek help because I always thought I should figure it out alone. But it was so much quicker when I did seek help. So I really encourage that as well.
It is a big step, but it does make a massive difference, I think, when you invest in yourself.
That's it.
And get the help that's out there. So where can we find you, Angele?
So
Angele? See, I'm saying it wrong again.
Angele. Yes, correct. So my biggest activity is on my Facebook page, actually, which is Wondrous Online Women. And Wondrous doesn't have an E, so it's WONDROUS.
Okay.
Wondrous. I don't know which one is correct anyway. So it's Wondrous Online Women. And and we gather all there and we share opinions, and that's right it. And I go live in there and people ask questions, or they can message me privately. And that's how we roll. Yeah. So everything.
I'll put the links on the website. I'll upload the video for all the ladies watching, and then I'll share the links and everything as well. So they can go and find you and connect with you there. Thank you so much for joining us today. I've thoroughly enjoyed our chat, and look forward to speaking to you next time.
Thank you for watching, and thanks for your time.
Thank you. Bye.